Yeah, oh, Prof here. Oh, I turned the light off when I meant to turn it on. Oh, almost took out my headlamp parts box. Need to order up a couple more of those Skillet headbands for some of the remaining headlamps back here. Put some of the single bands on the smaller 18350 headlamps. I don't have the top piece. Thought I'd give you guys an update. Got the hot glue out. Couldn't finish this project because I ran out of the standard full-size hot glue. But these are the little drawer systems that are actually like, they're all interchangeable. So like that's 9 drawers. You can just buy more and they slot in. Super handy. Paul's Hardware actually had them in one of his videos. His one warning was like the ones he bought during COVID weren't the same though as the ones he bought later. And to make sure, so like I found like the most common mechanism. There are at least 5 sellers on Amazon that use or these same dimensions and everything. And then I checked. I picked from, even though it was a couple more bucks, I picked from the oldest seller, meaning they've been around the longest, meaning they're most likely to stick around. Have these for tons of things. Eventually, they're going to be one giant stuck together like wall of these drawers. And turns out this is the exact size as my label maker. I think it's like 3/4 inch, so it'll be perfect to put it, like to type out, and I can make other labels that go on the back here for each drawer. What we did here, and I that's what I need the hot glue for, is these are quite removable. And with bits, I don't want them like, you know, if this lifts up slightly, I don't want, like, say, the Phillips 2 mixing with the Phillips 1. But yeah, look at how this turned out. That's Phillips and square. And yes, it does go Phillips 2, Phillips 1, Phillips 3, and it goes square 2, square 1, square 3. The reason for that is the front and the back pockets are a little bit bigger. So, got a second one started here. That one's all glued up. I need one more to be able to sort them all out. At least the smaller 1-inch insert bits. And then it turns out that's even wide enough for the 3-inch bits. And what I mean by that is over here, this is kind of what we were going out of. I have 2 or 3 of these. So the 2-inch bits easily fit. Right? 2-inch bits. This is technically a 2-inch bit. I don't know why DeWalt made them longer. Oh, sorry, these are 3.5, I think. Look at that. No problem. So even those bigger ones, anything bigger than the 3.5 is going to have to, well, what I can do is just open these up and have them going that way. So what I'm trying to do is, these used to be sorted by different means, and then they kind of all ended up over here in baggies or in, you know, like different cases, you know. Some of these I'll just still keep separate. Like this Stanley case is almost a full one. This is where that mini ratchet came from. You can get it, walk into a Walmart and buy it. It's got a mini Gordon Check's bit ratchet, and the only things I've stolen out of it so far are the pause drive, because that's like rather rare in the US, and the R, meaning Robertson, so it's a square bit, right? 0, which I didn't even know was a thing, was in this bit set. So this is actually a really nice bit set. That's why I haven't really taken apart more for this. There's also that ADP one. I think that's like some sort of security bit. But yeah, so I could easily give this to a friend. That's why this one hasn't been completely like picked and used up. Also, these aren't impact rated, and normally I want to be able to chuck it in an impact driver. I got a bunch of these partial LTT sets where I've taken the T15, T20, T25 out of. There's 2 more back there. I think there's like a refill set from LTT as well that has, possibly right there, that has like more Phillips too, because that's what I usually burn through. We've got all these super slim 4mm wide ones. All of those style are probably going to just go in one drawer. I've got the Matrix Carbide as well, and I'm going to be trying to reacquire as my main bits the Irwin Forged. I'm just sitting around here and I'm like, you know what? If I can get recalled Milwaukee bits off of eBay, I wonder. Sure enough, it's kind of like weird how they're available. Like it's like the test samples they gave out early on. I might have to get some packs of these just to show you guys. But yeah, you can buy bundles of test pack samples that are just like a single Phillips 2-bit. So I might. I've already got some best offers in on some of those. So hopefully I'm gonna get some of my bits. All they really had were Phillips and Square, which is fine by me. So here, hex short bits. Here's that little ratchet I was talking about. Really love it. Keep it in my own kit. So if you can see here, that's Robertson 0. Then I have impact rated for the 1 and the 2. Must have worn them out and had to upgrade them. I do have a Square 3 in the forged, impact rated in 1 and 2. I'm out of 2 size forged. There might be some others out there, but it's kind of like there's another brand of bits that I have that basically only does certain other ones in here that I'm blanking on at the moment due to it being 320 and I've been sitting on the floor and my legs have been losing. This is that little hilty guy. So basically you should be able to use any bit in here with any impact driver, any screwdriver with this little hilty extension, right? Or even put the little hilty extension in the little ratchet. This is a 2-inch extension. Super freaking useful. The only impact rated, and it's even got the ring, even though it's not black, it is impact rated. The only 2-inch that I'm aware of, the only other 2-inch I've ever had was a Craftsman. So I have an eBay. I'm going to start trying to track some of these back down. Let's take a look here. Yeah, the only one in here that is not, and I'm out again of those, is the Phillips 2, because that is the most common. Then you can see I have Robertson or Square 1, 2, 3 still in, and these are actually getting kind of rusty. But yeah, until they don't, I don't use 3 that often. That's part of the reason why. And these forged ones they don't have a coating. They're just raw metal. That's how they can get rusty. They don't have this black phosphate coating like all of these things do. I was thinking about swapping these out, but those are like real good DeWalt ones, because I do now have, there I got both the wobble and the stubby. I was gonna put the stubbies in there, but yeah, I'm gonna kind of keep those all as adapters as is. And these have been living in here for years upon years. I was using these back with my I'm pretty sure I was using these before I even had lithium ion tools. I had a Craftsman Nike head impact, and very often had to use this guy specifically. You can see all the wear on where it chucked up, and here on the, yeah. So those have gotten some good use. The DeWalt one is pretty good. I remember Torque Test Channel. These are much older ones. If I recall, the Milwaukee had some flaws or something like that. I do have this extension here. It's one of those screw running ones. Get the 3-inch though, but this is an impact rated one, which is quite rare. That's why it's in here. I do have the little 1/4-inch step bit, high-speed steel. I don't necessarily know, like this was just an open spot. I don't necessarily know if that's where I want to keep it, but it just, look at that, it just fits in there, so it's kind of perfect. I did put away my brand new set of Irwin Torques, and I got the new magnet for them that's not broken. I've decided to, there's one set left on Amazon. I'm going to pick them up. And I'll throw that in my, that's why I have these other bits. If there are ones I like, I want to stock up on them, so I you know, for the foreseeable future won't run out. But yeah, you can see how these have rusted. I mean, I think this square one might need to be replaced. It's got some, yeah, that one might have to go. I may actually have a square one, but I am going to try and find some more of these Irwin. Yeah, that square 3, or that Phillips 3 actually could probably, it's not rounded over. There's a little bit of rounding over. But yeah, these have been in there for a hot minute. And that's why that Milwaukee magnet is in here. They do it a little bit differently. It just stretches over. It's like a little gummy, and then pops on there. This Milwaukee magnet will also work with, I use their longer 3-inch, and to be truthful, this guy could probably use a replacement too. We've been doing a lot of projects around here, so, and I just kind of got these. That's a really cool DeWalt extension I showed off. An impact swivel, I have an extra one of those. Or it's like a angle sort of thing. Got all my drill bits figured out. Turns out it was like a 11/32 bit that was in here. Was actually a 5/16. And I checked. I only have 3 sets of drill bits, right? But I have 4 5/16 bits, and they're not the new replacement ones. So I think one of my drill bit sets, instead of an 11/64, came with 2 5/16. Fucking weird. These guys are what I plan to use at least the 6-inch and under. You know, one side's probably going to be all the extensions. You know, like this 3-inch. Remember I told you there were 3-inch of these screw sliders available, as well as this beefy extension from Milwaukee. And then we also have this one that holds the bits. That'll fit in there, a shorter version of that. Like, basically they get bigger as they go back. If it's 6 inches or less, I should be able to put it in that Milwaukee, and I have a lot of these, like this guy here. Now, what you can do, this is actually a Klein, because I don't think Milwaukee has anything other than the Phillips 2 I can use the red one. This is the old red one. I broke the last red one. And I don't think the red are sold anymore. Engineer is available in green, though. You don't want the yellow. So this can snap right on like that. Yeah, and it can be on the slimmer part, or if you want to, because it's springy, it can go over on that part. But for Milwaukee, at least, if we go to like this 6-inch Torx T25, same thing, that would work fine, right? But that is actually how they designed their normally when I'm in front of the toolbox, that doesn't happen, because I'm also not normally trying to hold a camera. If you're like Y2 flats, or 2. This one's a SL6, and that one's an SL8. Slotted 8, no, it's a 6, so it's actually 2 different sizes. Now that's impact rated. I don't know who would want, and yes, this guy is not impact rated, but I'm going to use it with an impact driver because I have a entire like stash of them. Why do I have just that one when I have all these? Well, T25 is by far the most common, especially when I'm doing GRK screws, right? And then this guy slides over it, makes it real nice for holding bits. So, yeah, and like I said, I have like a whack ton of them. So that's one way to keep wear off these. And if I've got them, you might as well use them. I used to have some weird bits in here. But I think since everything fits in there now, I don't. And they don't, like, this is not backed by a magnet. That'd be one way to fix it, is pull this little tray out. And this is a real old tray. I've never seen it before, but if I could have one magnet behind these, like glue the magnet, and then one magnet behind these, that'd be brilliant. Because otherwise, as you saw, if you don't open up it exactly right now, this rubber holds that in. So we're good, but if you're not paying attention, and if you notice, you can tell this one's a little bit older because the black one just says, whereas these are all, and all my other ones are yellow ones. But yeah, the even the older Shockwave from Milwaukee, that'll slide over their little, like, sort of gummy guy. So that's why I put it in there. I think this is more versatile, you know. But I want to get all of those, you know, these shorter guys, because I have T15. I think that's T25. I might even have a T20. Then the longer Klein also makes up Phillips 3. I don't know how common that is in like electrical work, but they do have it. So that is, like, you're like, well, why aren't you using like Milwaukee for your 6-inch? And it's because I can get 2 Klein bits for the cost of 1 Milwaukee bit. I'm gonna get that big. And Milwaukee does not have the Phillips 1 or the Phillips 3, whereas Klein does. So if you have any questions on that, let me know down below, or want any specific models. The last thing I did is, this says bimetal common drill bits. That used to be. Now all these DeWalt's, what was left of them. This is like a $10 bit set. If you guys need cheap bit sets, the DeWalt's are way cheaper on Black Friday and the holidays than Milwaukee, but Milwaukee is still, like, this, like the kit in this case, the first one is $10, and you get a double case for 20. I want to say the Milwaukee starts at 20, and then there's another one for 30. And I prefer these cases, as long as you don't have a bit that exceeds the length, which is, remember what happened with those masonry bits, and also with those bits that you just saw that I'm going to be putting in the Milwaukee case, is they exceed the, either 2 of them stacked like this would exceed the length of the case, or total the 6-inch one. Here, we will bring it over here and show you, just so you guys kind of get the vibe here. If I take a 6-inch bit, no matter which one it is, here, I'll take a Milwaukee T25, and you went, pushed that in, and rocked it over, no bueno, right? And then the other thing that occurs is, if you take one of these guys, and you go like this, you can't have another bit on that side facing this way. You could have one of the little insert bit strips, so you could have insert bit strips here, and then your 3 is it 3 or 3.5 inch? I mean, we're in a tool area. Let's grab some tools and find out. Here, there's a little ruler. I gotta replace this guy. My square is no longer square. I think they're 3.5. Am I wrong? Or am I right? 2.5. What? I'm not starting it. I'm starting beyond. Ha ha! Yeah, 0 starts here, you dumbass. They are 3.5. I was correct. I even got lead in there. Patel Super HB. That's the newer case, though. Mechanical pencil is not bad when you're using that surface, but my square, no longer square. I'm probably gonna get a Starrett. That, or there's like it's like a red woodworking place. But yeah, so this could work. And you take one of those singular strips, and you'd put it up here, probably facing this way. But I plan on using the bigger here, like this guy. Either I need to order another one of these that's double-sided, or I have one that's double, like double, and then it flips over like it's much bigger. Otherwise, I have a half one where it's only this on one side. Now, I know that won't be enough because these 6-inch guys, if you take one of those 6-inch guys and you put it in here, that's the full height, right? So that's a whole side of those. It does look like these could have been moved this way one more click, because I have them on B instead of A. They're fine height-wise, but if you were trying to fit something on this side, you might be wise to do that. So here's a 3.5-inch, and here is a 3.5-inch. Now imagine this here. Probably would still hit, even if I had these going different directions. Maybe not though. I'd have to do some testing. Otherwise, I might be able to alternate. I could probably figure something out. Because I have these, like this has been set up that way for ages. I mean that's been set up that way for I don't know, couple of Black Fridays. It's probably been over 5 years. Then I had to buy 3 of these in order to get all the singular inserts, right? So this ended up being one of them. And I tried it into my countersink bits. There you go, and they actually line up. So these are snappy tools. Those are the countersink bits you want. These are for putting a countersink in the wood and putting the screw into that piece of wood. These are for putting a countersink in and putting the screw through the piece of wood. So as in like, here, if you want the screw to bite into this, like that shelf right there, you put a hole through this piece of wood. That's when you use these. And then if you want to, like this, here, you want to screw into this board here, but you want it countersunk, use those bits. That's why those are longer and those are shorter. Basically these are bigger. So if you notice, this number 10 is skinnier than that number 10. Well, yep, because this number 10 leaves enough meat on the bone. That's for number 10 screw. That leaves enough meat on the bone to grip the wood still. Whereas this purposely makes the hole bigger than the screw, so the screw just passes right through, because you don't want the screw to bite into this board. You want the screw to bite into that board. So you really want both sets. And I had a set for a long time that I had gotten at Fleet Farm prior to them being bought out. I don't remember the brand. It was one of their, like more unique brands. And then I went to Home Depot, and I think I just bought like an Irwin set, because I'm like, it's got to be Irwin that it's good. And then I tried a DeWalt set. Both of them use this style of bit and claim it's for the right side purpose, right? And then here's the bigger thing. This style of bit is wobbly. And if you read the Amazon reviews for them, also, instead of using these 2 cutting paths, they use like 4 just, kind of like sticks of metal that stick out, which do a much rougher job of actually cutting it out. I need to clean a couple of those bits. I returned those because the drill would literally be like, woo, 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 woo. And what's kind of weird is they're like a combination of those two, and they were shit. Reading up on it, other people like why like Irwin's known for cutting. Like I got Irwin right over there. My original set of drill bits that I got from my grandpa probably 2 decades ago. Probably they only left that spot, I don't know, 5 years or so ago. These are spade bits. I don't use spade bits that often. They are useful though when you need them. Realizing now I could have used this guy instead of buying this guy. I mean, this one. Fuck me. This works great. But could have gotten it done the same day had I known that was in there. But yeah, I used to have a set of drill bits exactly like that, right? It's right there. But yeah, so I'm assuming like, hey, Irwin's known, like one of the things they are known for is their drill bits. They got to make a competent, or at least like if they have countersink bits, it's got to be a competent drill bit. Nope. And I don't know if Irwin is part of the Stanley Black & Decker group or not. Let's ask the watch. Is Irwin part of the Stanley Black & Decker group? Yes. So, that's why the Irwin bits and the DeWalt bits that I got from another local place were just as shit. It's not the classic, and Irwin's been doing that, like, minus the vice grip and a couple things. It's just this other Stanley Black & Decker stuff rebranded. Here's a real old DeWalt one. I have one even older than this, too. And it still takes. And this is why I get the DeWalt. Milwaukee has changed like 3 times. Their new way of doing it, pretty good. I still prefer the DeWalt. These rubberized ones hold it way better than this like hard plastic. Like they tried to engineer it out, so but still used like a cheaper material versus. So they tried to engineer out of it. I do like they have taller cases though, for the things that I need it for. Otherwise, I prefer, like, this is a much handier case now. Some of mine have the impact power bit style. Some don't. Technically, the only one that's impact rated in here is this, and this was newer at the time. This is a 1/4 to 3/4. I think that's the same as this one. Yeah, 1/4, 3/4. Now, as I bought these are all the Cobalt ones from Harbor Freight. Buying step bits from Harbor Freight is a-okay. Step bits are step bits, based on watching a lot of testing online. What you want, though, is you want a spiral flute, and you want 2 flutes. 2 flutes will literally make it cut twice as fast. You can see there, 2 flutes. And you want the spiral flute, as that helps with evacuating the shavings. Otherwise, what determines it realistically is the quality of the metal. In that case, I paid a little bit extra for the Cobalt, but getting Cobalt Harbor Freight bits is about the same cost as getting like normal Milwaukee bits, just for context. And in here, I believe I have my old Unibit. These used to be this shit. I don't know if they were the original, but I ran this thing. You can see where I've like blued some of the steps and eaten. You can see the cutting edges. They're just gone away on certain common steps for me. I probably need to replace that for like 5 years. And I kept just saying, oh, the next big project, I'll replace it. Oh, the next big project, I'll replace it. Why is it up there? That's like my killed stuff. So killed screwdrivers. Hey, I can either grind that screwdriver handle flat, make it a pry bar, or make it a handle for something. You know, so sometimes you just need to stick a metal. And turns out bits are tough, or extensions are tough, right? So it's a tough stick of metal. I just kind of, if it's not useless though, I'll keep it around. But yeah, so, and we had to deal with, because we did this whole project, and how do I know that the Irwin bits suck donkey balls? It's because this whole thing is done with GRKs that are countersunk through this board and into the studs, and then the top of these shelves I'll countersunk with shorter screws into those 2x4s. Yeah, we did that whole project with the I thought like, hey, we're going to do this big project and I need to do all this countersinking to keep it nice and clean. I am going to buy a new set because the other ones are dull as frick. And oh my god, because they have these little, like, they didn't really have like the cutters that you just saw on the Snappy Tools. It's not Snap-on, it's Snappy Tools, you can see. Snappy Tool. And yes, I cut out the little thing it came in and put it in the DeWalt container using some of that really thin double-sided sticky tape on the back. Not like the thick foam stuff, but the thin almost Scotch tape. And it's, I would, if these dull, I would replace them with the exact set. Like, they are top tier. Amazon, sometimes Amazon reviews, you're like, I don't know if I can trust them. But like, people in the reviews for these were literally calling out stuff that I had run into with other brands, or specifically they're like, yeah, I have bought the Irwin ones because here we got an old Irwin set, right? Irwin is never here. All my big bits are Irwin. You can see they're big there. Those are like the big long ones, like the exact things that they were saying that were wrong with the Irwin countersink bits, and then I later bought the DeWalt, same thing there, were what they were calling out, like that why they ended up buying those, right? And that's how you know, like, those reviews, like, highly doubtful that brands are getting that specific to call out specific flaws that you would only know once you unbox another brand and start using it, right? That's people who have bought that other brand, trusted it, been bitten in the ass, and then had, no, you don't, you kitten, you don't go in there, no. And then, get bitten and then are trying to find something legitimate. I believe these are made in the USA too, which now, Irwin used to be 100% made in the USA. There you go, made in the USA right there. Made in, I mean, it's slightly cut off, but Irwin used to be. Once they got bought out by Stanley Black & Decker and, transitioned into their whole fold, they are no longer. Not saying it's better just because it's made in the USA. Not saying that at all. It's just a generally around here in the USA a good indication of quality. Now, as you know, for normal drill bits now, I found out you're better off buying, same thing with these Harbor Freights, you are better buying the better quality, as in like Cobalt, or it's not S2 at that point, like the better, like, high-speed steel qualities, not made in the USA, than you are spending money for the made in the USA stuff, because you'll actually get a better drill bit. The drill bits seem to be pretty much figured out, unless you need very specialized machining ones, maybe then, but I know that even then, a lot of times they'll do test passes with like the cheap Chinese shit, because that way if it breaks, you're losing way less money. And then once you know what you need, you then, like, spec out the stuff you need, get the expensive stuff, and you then how long it'll last, yada yada yada. So very happy with this case. Need to replicate that for all. Well, obviously I'm not getting the 18-inch extension in there, but the rest of these guys should be able to go in there pretty much. The last set of bits that I also took care of when I was doing the setup here was right here, and these are actually going to go. Eventually, I will have this other side. The brand I showed you before, that mini step bit, makes a whole slew of them. I want to put those on this side eventually, but I reused the bimetal common bits throughout the drill bit specific holders, and I had two left of the ones that fit in here that held the large bits that you can lift up like that, and I needed 10. Technically 11, but I knew 11 was going to happen because there's only 5 on each side. And then this guy, turns out all I did was notch that little guy out. Originally I had it this way, it's the label, right? But because of this bit being a little bit shorter, you got a bit more wiggly, because these bits are, like, the big bits are over here, that holds it really well. So that's the 1/2 inch And these are the stubby cobalt ones that can get chucked up into like an impact chuck. These are not impact rated, but I usually carry around one of my electric screwdrivers for doing like on-site, I don't want to call it PC repair, like IT work, right? You do not need, well, you might need an impact and a driver depending on drill, depending on what you're doing, but most of what I deal with can be handled with a electric screwdriver, and a lot of extra screwdrivers actually, for the longest time until I got a drill, and it took me a while to get a drill. I had that Craftsman NiCad impact, like black tool. I don't know why Craftsman's trying to copy Milwaukee colors now. They were always black. What the fuck? Then I got my Milwaukee original screwdriver, which I've repaired and is working, is in my work tool bag. Then after that, I got the first M12 non-fuel impact charger, has that right now, as well as some Gen 1 batteries that were half good, but he said he could use them. And then I finally got, when the Milwaukee finally came out with the Gen 1 fuel drill, which you might have seen me do a video on replacing the chuck on, because they finally went to a 1/2-inch chuck with the fuel. Then I finally bought a drill. So all of my drilling up until that point was being handled by this set of Craftsman bits that, if you notice, has the standard like 1/4-inch hex chuck on them. Not these bigger ones are actually a different brand, because Craftsman did not go up past like a 1/4-inch, I want to say. But that a lot of times is all I need. You know what I mean? One of those might be Craftsman. I think the biggest one is a Ryobi, because they were the only other ones doing it. But that I literally did all my drilling with my electric screwdriver, because it has a drill mode, and as long as you're not doing anything too heavy or going at it too hard, you know, it was good. So that's what I plan on doing with these, because a lot of times when I need to punch out a hole, like in this, say this metal, that's where those step bits that are hopefully going on this side will be really nice. And they're the same sort of stubby, small, and I can keep these all 10 of these in this small little case, right? And they're really nice cobalt, or not really nice, but like they're cobalt drill bits. I even have a 1/2-inch. A lot of it's like, think about this. Even this board here, one of these, right? That's enough to go through. So these would be even shorter than like a mechanic's length, right? But that's what's actually gonna go in my bag, my work. So like, you know, like my on-site tool bag, because I'm not doing a lot of like pulling cables where I need, you know, like big flexible bit I showed off. Or if I did, I would know I'd be going to that job. But there's the 18-inch one. Goes a hoys. But any of the 6-inch and under, you know, do up one of these. And I got to do the other side of this DeWalt, but I'm out of pieces, because all the pieces got used by this guy, that guy, probably partially this guy, but that's an older one that's been set up for a long time. I do think I switched them, though, to this style, right? Because these are much nicer than what you saw in here, which is the older style, where you see you have to flex the rubberized plastic out of the way every time. Oh, and what I was saying with these two is all of these, which don't have the hex shank, and these that do, have been replaced by a whole lineup of these Hercules ones that are impact rated. But until I wear through all of these, which, fuck, it was, you know, 10 years probably that I made that. Now, like I said, probably 5 years into that Unibits life, it really should have been replaced, but they didn't have like cheap, like, now, okay, by the way, these are the cobalt ones. I want to say each set of these, like, that might have been 50 and that might have been 50 or something like that, or just under, but it was like $100 for what you see there. Whereas like one Milwaukee bit's like $100. Now you can go much lower end from and just get the titanium nitride coated ones. You know, and it'll probably be fine. The big thing, like I said, to watch out for is you want that dual spiral flutes. That's what you want. So now if you really need to get by and it's like, oh, I really need a step bit, but the only one left is the super cheap one that's like $3, just fucking use it. What I have found is a lot of people have said that, oh, these are all the same. They're really not. That dual spiral flute seems to matter a ton, and then it's metallurgy. Is it good metal? And like people have been buying them and testing them off of Temu, and they're complete crap. I'm not saying you gotta go out and buy like the best, like only Irwin Uni bits or only the Milwaukee Impact Rated Shockwave ones. Not from my experience. Not based on other people's testing. But you gotta have, there is a bare minimum here. You know what I mean? And then from there, it's like, okay, we've hit that bare minimum. Then if you can get it, you want the dual flute. That's pretty common, but the dual spiral flute is, you know, a bit more costly. But like I said, like a full set of like that set in Milwaukee's. And yes, I should probably get a better case because those other ones on the other side are loose, but they're not the hex ones, so it's kind of hard to hold them in, right? Now Milwaukee obviously would they'd be in one of these nice cases, probably the wider one, like this big. But you'd be spending like it's $50 a bit with them. So and this whole kit was about $50, I want to say, so it wasn't cheap. They are cobalt, but you are paying for the uniqueness, like the stubbiness, and then they have this interesting split tip on here that reminds me of a brad point drill, but it's not twisted, but it is like an extra, like a double split tip or something. If anybody wants to know me like where else or what style that is, just because prior to these little stubby guys I'd never seen it before. This fits very well. This 1/2 inch is kind of an additional, and it is a separate piece because normally these are 2 kits. I think it goes like this one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and then this, like it's like every other one. Realistically, they should just sell you the frickin' 10-pack rather than 2 5s. The other brand that sells these on Amazon also sells you 2 5s. The difference is that it's a Valorant tool that sells the drill force ones. If you want, they will sell you, like say you burn up your 5/32, they will sell you just replacement 5/32. So you don't have to buy another 5-pack of kit of bits, just get the 1 bit you burned up. That is why I went with the Valorant tools, which was a little bit more expensive, because they actually sold replacement bits. Now the other brand had some really cool left-hand drill bits for it was left hand, and I think I don't want to say taps, extractors that went with them. So that was kind of cool. And realistically, they look so very similar that I'm sure you could probably buy the other brand, and then when you need to replace them, buy the Valorant Tools ones, and you might not even notice the difference. They're probably coming out of the same factory. But a big thing with drill bits on me lately is, and you can... People say, oh, you got to sharpen your drill bits. That has always gone shittily for me. And also, if you're doing a project and it either goes dull or you start it not knowing it is dull, as long as you have another one someplace, it's far easier to just go get another bit. Oh, that's another thing I should add is in this setup here, there's all my currently sizes that I've replaced. The 1/8 inch and the 7/16 are the new Narwhal ones. 3/32, 5/64. Those are the ones I had bought on Ludopam. And then I bought, because these are the only ones left from Ludopam, 5/32, 11/64. Turns out I actually needed one of the 11/64. I went to go use it the other day and it was fucked. So... And you're like, well, why'd you buy the 5/32 without me? Because I really like the Ludopams, but they don't actually make them they've either sold through or whatever. So the next closest that I found that's pretty similar was Narwhal, and they had similarly good reviews. The Chinese drill bit brands really seem to be like 100% hit or miss. They can't be that much different, but I'm guessing there's different OEMs that they come out of. And either the bits reviewed like I reviewed the Ludopams, where it's like I expected them to maybe go for a half a hole or a hole with what I was drilling through, and they ended up making it through 3. And that 10 pack is down to 7 only. I expected to go through almost the whole pack with what I was drilling. Other people on the Ludopams were kind of reviewing it the same way, whereas a lot of the other brands out there, they're just like random Chinese brands. If you just search like Cobalt drill bit, a lot of them will be very poor reviews. Like, oh, it immediately snapped as soon as I used it. Yada 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 yada. And I mean, these could be fake, but a lot of, like, when I was looking at the Ludopams, other people sounded surprised that they were as good as they were, and they were even like taking pictures and showing it and being like, here, I used these from Harbor Freight or these from Home Depot. It took me 3 bits to do this one hole or whatever they were drilling. And then with the Ludopams, it was 1, you know, and they're like, yeah, it seems still usable after that. That was my experience as well. The Narwhal, which I just put them in my kit. I don't know for sure, but the reviews on those are very similar, which is a good thing. Because I was very surprised by the quality of those Ludopams, to the point where, like, I'm like, oh, I'm saving this brand. The next time I need another size, and you saw I went back for 2 sizes, and then I think mostly probably due to tariffs, they didn't get restocked. You know, that's messing with a ton of things here. The Narwhal seemed to be like somebody actually tried to establish a brand too, whereas Ludopam is like just one of those random Chinese, what do you want to say? Like, they basically just need a name that they can register in order to sell a product, right? They probably weren't going to stick around too long. Like the Valorant Tools ones too, those are like a misspelling of it. Hopefully they do. There is another brand that sells them, but they only sell the kits. Yeah. I don't know, like those stubby ones also may not get used a ton. I'm no longer doing on-site work, but I remember having a set of stubby ones that I picked up at, they might have just been black oxide too, but man, I used those till I couldn't anymore. I really liked having that shorter length. You could get, if I stuck that on the electric screwdriver, you could get that in places you couldn't get a drill with a chuck with a full size, what they call jobber length. That's the really long, like for going through the long ways of a 2x4, right? But there are places that you couldn't, like, throw a drill with a chuck on it and a jobber length drill bit, you're not getting that in where you need to, right? Whereas, you know, electric screwdriver in drill mode with a stubby bit, that'll get you places that nothing else could, probably like a right angle drill. But, you know. So something else I picked up is this weather stripping, and you're like, why the frick did you pick up weather stripping? Well, one downside of these things is you're noticing I'm using up a lot of the drawers, and I am using the hard plastic ones that come with. Here, they come like this, rubber banded together. But they don't give you enough to fill every drawer, and this is a complaint from one of the guys buying it, right? You can't do every drawer with every one of those, and it's probably half, roughly, is what I'm finding. Is, you know, like every drawer could have half of those put in. Now, normally, if we go over, like I have a bunch of these now, my pens are in it over here, and I want to get another one to get all the rest of the pen parts in. But often, I only need one, see, like this, because the length of the pen just has this extra space in front. And they're like, well, why even stop it? What are you going to use it for? Well, over here, I put in like little replacement parts for like O-rings and springs and little baggies for the tactile turns. Well, this is the one I made up out of that weather stripping. It is the correct height, and it's clear. And I didn't know that I was going to actually have to use 2 strips stuck together, but I was worried about having that 3M tape on there. Turns out, with how thin it was, it worked out perfectly, because I just took 2 pieces, stuck them back to back, put the thicker part that had the 3M on opposite sides, and for stuff that isn't like those bits that's got weight and you just need to separate it so it doesn't kind of flow together, if you cut that to the right length and stick them together, look at that. No problem. So what I can do then is on stuff like this, where, you know, these aren't going to bust out of there really, right? Because they're already that length and they kind of want to vibe. Same thing with this sort of stuff. None of this is hard per se, right? That's just ink cartridges. That's fountain pen sucker uppers. That's the incorrect term, but my brain's not 100% functioning here. Oh. Now, one fix to what I just did is what I did over in that other drawer, which is hot glued in. And on the other drawers with the bits, because those are big and heavy, I hot glued on the top and bottom. May not be needed. I'm really thinking that just a little dash of hot glue up in the top corners is enough. Also, if you're paying more attention, you won't rip it out. But a lot of these I don't need or even want those in. And on these ones where like this, where you're very unlikely to have this actually need to stop anything like you do with those bits. They're nice and heavy, and you do not want them cross-pollinating. Often, like, realistically, if that went into there, wouldn't be the end of the world, right? What that means, though, is that I can steal these from this setup to put in the other setup. I'm sure the other thing, too, that you could do out there is, like, I was considering splitting it down the middle as well, or even splitting it in thirds, because there's nice things in there for splitting in thirds. You probably 3D print that fairly easily. I do have 3D printer and somebody who will 3D print it for me. So maybe I can bring one of those drawers over sometime and mock something up. I considered doing that for the bits because I was like, you know, I really could fit more in a drawer if I had these separated more. But I did that on that little container here to fit all of them in here. And fishing a bit out of that, because they're like the exact size, can be a pain in the, what would ABE say, the cunning lingles? Whereas here, look, you can just, yeah, no problem. So, yeah, I actually kept the, these are the Irwin, those are the blue are the Irwin, but those are impact bits. The ones I like are the forged bits. I actually kept them separated in there because I'm thinking I'll probably have a drawer for forged bits and then a drawer for matrix carbide bits. That makes sense. And you'd be like, no, it doesn't. Why do you? Because those are the ones I like. When I like things like the full stick sticky notes and the 3M glasses, then camera, then electronics cleaner cloths, they should keep making them. Like, legitimately, you could argue that these from Irwin are better. The impact rated ones. These are kind of like the spiritual successor to the forged bits. The forged bits fit better though. But these are like impact rated, right? But their new ones are garbage by comparison. And I don't know why. Here's something that DeWalt did. The one on the left is considered more premium. I just added a weird little doodle. I think this is not impact rated and that is impact rated. I think that's the difference. Now, when you have a stack of Phillips 2s that big, it doesn't matter if it's impact rated or not. Just use them. Same thing, like, that's all 2-inch Phillips 2 right there. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's a lot of impact rated DeWalts in there that you can see. And then over there, there's T25 medium. That's what I call the 2-inch. And there's a whole whack ton in there as well. Most of those are not impact rated. But hey, when you got like a literal handful of them, use them. Because if you don't, then you'll have to buy them, right? And then you're gonna buy impact rated ones, right? But or you could just use up what you have first, then do it, right? Then once you use those up, you can go and buy whichever your preference is. You know what I mean? Like, if I was going to buy it, like I said, I like those forged Irwins. Really like the matrix carbide. Don't use them for impacting though, even though if we go and look on the packaging over here, they advertise them for impacting, and that's why they got recalled. There we go. I don't know what this blue is. Why you guys leaving blue string in my house, huh? What you doing? There we go. We go to this. Most of my matrix carbide is actually contractor packs, because this stuff would have been pulled off the shelf. But look at that, lifetime tip warranty. I use these for PC building, and I gotta tell you, use them with an electric screwdriver, with the like the chuck in place, right? And they barely show wear. Best tip fit ever, but they say right down there, impact duty. And drywallers love these, because drywallers do not use impact guns. The big issue here was they were actually in their demos, and I think they've been since taken down due to the recall. In the demos, they were showing them in impact drivers and like showing up like, watch it impact. And I think there was even a demo video where it snapped off. I know you could probably find YouTubers that were sent these for review, where they used them in impact drivers because that's what the marketing copy said to do. And they would literally snap the tip off, and it wouldn't even be here. Like right there, it would actually be up here. Basically, as soon as you got away from the screw up there, it would just shear it. Love these damn things, though. Probably need to go and find more before they're, SOL shit out of luck here. But I literally have contractor packs of them. So that, I wouldn't even use them for, I caught myself one day, I was doing like that light switch or something, I was using it. And they can actually be too hard because it was stripping the screw that was on there. Which can, but if you have a nice fresh screw, or you have the machined ones that are in PCs and stuff like that, it'll, blissful. We really need to switch PCs over to Torx, though. T20 seems to be the thing. I highly doubt we'll ever do it. But, that'd be interesting. So questions, comments, throw it down below. I mean, here, I've had, here's my second Klein. That needs to go in one of the drawers until I need it. And then here you can tell I've had extensions for a while. This guy's pretty old school with how it pulls back here. That was my first big extension that I needed. And it only got replaced semi-recently once I got that Milwaukee, because getting ones that are over a foot long that are actually like good 10 years ago, that was one of, if not your only option. Ugh. I don't remember why I got this guy, but dusty as. So DeWalt used to make them hex all the way. And here's the real crappy ones. You can see these have gotten used, though. And like I said, I have an even older DeWalt, even older than that yellow one. There you go, that's where I store all the older style individual bits. You might be able to tell that this was the case I used to use. And yes, you're like, that wouldn't work. Yes, one of these would get taken out. And then you can fit actually quite a bit less than that more modern case I had, but that's what I was using previously. See by all the dirt, dust, and grime in there. These black ones I don't think were ever used, though. But this thing's basically just a holder. And yeah, that's how, here, impact ready. That's what the black case meant originally. Because there was yellow versions of this that had more of like that style. But yeah, still, if I wanted to go to a brand new DeWalt case, even the much bigger ones, because they made bigger cases over the past years to compete with the likes of, I would say especially Milwaukee, this would still fit in it with this sort of like, is it like a French cleat style holder. So until I break, and I have like this style, because you would peel it up through these little flexible guys. I've had them break. Yeah. So, no, I don't like DeWalt bits, but the cheapest way to get the bits or the cases is to buy during Black Friday and or other holidays, the cases or the bits in the case, like, because it's $10. Milwaukee case is $10. So I need to buy probably 2 more myself. And that'll also replenish some of the bits I need. So that's why I use even not impact rated bits for impact rated things, because if you get a case of them for $10, might as well use those ones that you already have up before you go and buy your own. But if you noticed, I did have to buy some of the Milwaukee ones semi-recently, especially the T15. I would say in the past it wasn't all that common to have a T15, especially like an impact rated or a longer, like not just an insert bit T15. Like I blew through my 3.5-inch T25s as well, because often that is one thing about those kits, is they often will not, they mostly want to film with those 1-inch insert bits. And I prefer, if possible, to have what would be like the power bit, which is the 2-inch or even longer, like the 3.5-inch or the 6-inch, like the Wiha power blades, except those are not impact rated. Keep that in mind. So I used up. I've had Irwin. I've had the Makita Gold. They're actually colored gold. They have like newer ones. They might be fine, but Makita, bleh. And the Ryobi bits are oddly expensive. Like, you're better off just getting the Milwaukee's on sale. They get those Makita, or not the Makita, Makita and the Ryobi's must just exist to like have them to like have with their brand. I've literally thrown out, I think, my Makita bits. I had, because there were these double-ended ones, and there was a real big cutout right in the middle that they're like, oh, that's for torque saving or whatever. All of mine bent right where that was. Now I'd be like, well, why'd you buy them then? Well, towards the end there, it was the only way to get this, and I love this thing, this Makita magnet here. It was the only way to get that Makita magnet. Was to buy that bit set. So I bought 1 or 2 of those, and it's like, hey, they're Phillips too, or I'll use them up, and they're double-ended. That's handy. But man, like, despite having like a titanium nitride coating, sort of like this here, despite having that coating on it, like those hex bits there, I was thinking I might have had some over there, because sometimes I'll hide them or whatever. But I think I literally threw them out. It was the world's softest material. Well, here's an older Milwaukee pre. Normally you'd see the silver tip on there. I literally shredded them the first time, and they were supposed to be impact rated ready, but you'd shred the tip and you'd bend it right where it said, like, oh, this is supposed to deal with the torque, much like how the Milwaukee slims down right there, right? But they had that in the middle of the bit. And let's just say that's exactly where it failed. So, DeWalt bits, they're fine. But if I'm going to go out and buy a bit, it's probably going to be a Milwaukee, unless I have those there's certain kinds that I really like, based on use, that turns out don't exist anymore. So if you guys have anything like that, let me know down below in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.